What is going on, online fitness coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives Make Money Online Training Podcast. It's your fucking boy, Brian Mark. And this week is 10K Mastermind Enrollment Week. So we've got three different programs. We've got the Change Lives Academy, which helps students get to $5,000 a month. And then once students are at $5,000 a month, we invite them to join the 10K Mastermind. Inside of the 10K Mastermind is where we take you from $5K to $15,000 to $20,000 per month. We've actually got one of our rock star students on to celebrate 10K Mastermind Enrollment Week. His name is Mr. Joe Gerald. What's up, Joe?
What's going on, man? How we doing?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic. How's your day been?
Dude, I can't complain. Booked some calls, got some DMs in. It's been wonderful, man.
Dude, I love it. So let's start with the end result because I like to talk to you guys about like what my client's been able to achieve. So Joe, what is the end result? So talk to me about the amount of money that you're making, your social media following, and the impact you're currently making on the online coaching space.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, last month I made about 11K, which was great. This month it's looking to be even more, honestly. And so we're growing each month. That's where we're at right now. And I started online fitness coaching. We can get into more details later if you want, but I started online fitness coaching about 6 months ago.
Boom. So let's do that. Let's start with the origin story.
Yeah.
So give me a little bit of a background on who Joe Gerald is. What were you doing before online coaching and what even got you interested in online coaching in the first place?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll say right off the get-go, like I always had this dream of helping men, like whether that's getting in shape or building better habits. And I had that ever since I was a kid, I think. But so when I graduated high school, I actually went to engineering school, not because I wanted to be an engineer, but it was safe and it would have made my family happy. And that's so common. We do things that make people around us happy, even if it's not what we're meant to do. So I went to engineering school, graduated. I didn't want to be an engineer. So I got a job writing like technical documents, like as far away from engineering as I could. And I did that for a couple of years, and everyone said like, oh, the next step is to go to law school. You're writing documents, now you should be a lawyer. I didn't want to be a lawyer either, but I wanted to people please, and I still felt kind of lost, so I went to law school. But this like disdain of me not following my purpose and helping people, it was like growing. And after a year of law school, I basically just said, I can't take this anymore. I was starting to like be really resentful and bitter, and it was manifesting. And so I just said, I'm done. So I made an Instagram account. I dropped out of law school and I started coaching men, like helping them lose weight.
Now, before I get in there, I'm curious about that. You said, so do you mind if I ask you a couple of hard questions? Because I like to make these fun.
Yeah.
How much money did you invest in law school?
$30,000 for the first year.
$30,000 for the first year. And obviously that's gone. You still have to pay that, right?
Yeah. I think I got some scholarships. I think all in, then, the cost of books and everything, it was probably around
$30,000. And it's so funny because I feel like when we're talking about investing in mentorship, I feel like so many people are like hesitant to invest in a mentor, but like, bro, you spent more on law school than you'll ever spend on me.
Yeah. Take it from me, Brian, and anyone listening. The idea that college is the way to go now, take it from someone who got 2 private degrees in the most lucrative, like engineering and law. Like I did the schooling. Unless you're going for something hyper specialized, college is a jip. Like get a mentor, get a coach that can take you where you want to go.
100%. Now, the next question I want to hone in on, because I think this is really important and I want to highlight this, Joe, is you said you ended up feeling bitter and resentful and it started to manifest. Where did it start to manifest? Where were you noticing this resentment coming up?
Yeah, I was angry externally. Like I was frustrated externally. People could see I'm a pretty calm guy, pretty even keeled, and I would get really angry at times. But I wasn't mad at anyone in particular. I was so mad at myself for not having like the courage to go in and even just try. Not even to just like succeed, but just try to coach, and I want to speak and all these things, to even try that. I was really resentful of myself.
Beautiful. Okay. So you start this Instagram account and you start mentoring men. And how did you start mentoring men? Like how did the Instagram account start? And you literally started this from scratch, right?
It's from scratch. Yeah. Terribly. This was May. So whenever that was, like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Terribly. No idea what I was doing. Even before Instagram, I would have people like screenshot me their food and I'd be like, that looks good. Like eat that. Just terrible. No structure. Then I found an advertisement by my guy, Brian Mark. And you were talking about something called a pre-frame. And I was like, oh, I have no idea what that term is, but it sounds like I should know what that is. And I was like, okay, well, I checked your page out, watched some reels. And then you had a reel on like overcoming a price objection. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've had that so many times. So I messaged you, said thanks. And then you just shot me the Change Lives Make Money podcast. And Brian, that was where everything changed. So I'm gonna be honest, bro. I binged the Change Lives podcast. I would say 4 or 5 episodes a day from like mid-May to probably like mid-June, maybe end of June. And business grew. I'm not in the CLA yet at this point, but I listened to so many episodes. And then by the end of June, I had 8 clients paying me a good amount to where I was making several thousand a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked. The podcast works. So then you want me to keep going?
Yeah, bro. Fucking
Yeah.
tell me more. I'm into it.
Yeah. So I kept going. I'm listening to the podcast.
What was your Instagram account after a couple months listening to the podcast? Where were you at? You started from scratch.
Hit 0, and then I hit maybe 500-600 by end of June. So April. Yeah. A couple months.
Yeah.
And then, so anyway, listening to this, I have like 7-8 clients, a few thousand a month. And then I'm like, all right, well, I need to join the CLA. That's most reasonable. And then I joined, and then it just pretty much went up from there. But that month where I just binged the podcast was so crucial because there's so much value there. I would listen, I would write it down. And see, Brian, you can't filter out really the podcast episode. So you talk about a free challenge, and I'd be like, oh, I hope that comes up again, like, because I want more info on that. And I'd wait, I'd listen, and then I'd hear it more, and I'd write more. So yeah, it works.
That's why pod chats are so good, because pod chats, like when people come on for pod chats, they literally ask me anything, and I don't hold anything back. I'm like, I want to give you as much value as I can. Like, I want you to make money. So that's cool.
Like I remember driving once, and I was stuck on how to set up a 14-day challenge. Yeah. And I'd never heard how yet. And then someone came on Podchats actually and asked that question. And I was driving, and I'm like, shit, I don't want to forget this. And I like pulled over to pull out my phone and like wrote it down.
Dude, I love it. And it worked?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, dude, we're here now.
That's sick. So you joined the academy, and talk to me about the experience, because like there's a lot of people that are listening to the podcast that might not have joined the academy yet. So what's the difference between listening to the podcast and being in the academy? Because I'm sure that somebody that's listening to the podcast all the time is like, I'm just going to keep doing this. So what was the difference that you noticed from like listening to the podcast and then actually being in the academy?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll say right off the bat, there's plenty of value. There's a ton of value in the podcast. Like I'm not discounting that, but it's a next level when you join the Change Lives Academy because of the community. It's not just like Brian talking and like you listening. There's a whole community of trainers, almost all of them like more successful, have been where you want to go, and you can heed their advice. Like you can reach out for counsel and like listen to them, and it's invaluable. There's also trainings, modules. There's a whole, rigmarole of ways for you to just like expedite your progress. That's really what I think coaching is like time collapsing the path to success. And I mean, it works in the CLA for sure. So dude, I would say community.
I believe that too. And like one of the things you said is time collapse. Like I truly do believe that any of you guys listening to this right now could spend the next 3 years studying and learning how to be an online coach. My podcast, my posts, all of it. All of you, everybody can learn. But it's like two things. Number one is I think when you're doing things on your own, there's a lot of trial and error, which like I'm not discounting that. If you don't have the money, like sometimes trial and error is the way to go. It's the only way to go if you don't have money until you figure it out. But like the one thing that I believe is that like time is on one thing that I can never buy back. Like I'm 32 years old now, and I'm like getting older by the day. And it's like, I can't ever go back to being 22. And so I want to time collapse as much as I possibly can. And I want to get the result faster so I don't have to figure everything out on my own.
100%. That's the point. Like, and that really is, it's more reasonable to take a coach's advice who has been where you want to go, or even a level up, which has taken people like you to be where you want to go, than it is to listen to your own advice, which is just like moving around and trying to figure stuff out on your own. It's more reasonable to take the coach's advice, in my opinion.
I agree. And I also think I want to touch on that because like, I'm going to be honest for everybody listening here, and no offense to anybody, but like the advice that you're giving yourself is the advice that you use to get to that level. And so if you're currently making $0 a month online and you're listening to your own advice, like your advice got you to $0 online, why the fuck would you listen to yourself? And that's not like, no shame in that. Like I also believe that, which is why I have mentors. Like I have Dan Martell, who's making $30 million a year. And if I have a question, like, sure, I can ask myself, or I can be like, Dan, what do you think? He's like, these are the things that I've learned in my last 10 years of business experience. And I can just like gain from that experience rather than trying to figure it out on my own. And so you were in the academy, Joe. Yep. What were some of the results you got inside of the Change Lives Academy?
I joined at the end of June, making, I would say 2,500. And then by end of September, I was making 6,000. And then end of October, I made 10,000. Over 10,000.
Why did you join the 10K Mastermind? Because you could have just stayed in the academy.
Yeah.
You could have just stayed in the academy. And I think that like when you're in the academy and you're making 5 to 7K a month, like you could literally just stay there. What made you, Joe, decide to join the Mastermind? Like what was the switch?
Yeah, for sure. So you reach this point in this whole process, this whole PT Dom umbrella, where you're getting so much value. Let's start with the podcast. You get so much value, it makes sense. It's more reasonable to invest more and you'll get more value. Okay, then now you're in your CLA. Well, then you reach a point where you're like, okay, I've gotten so much value here. If there's a next level, it is reasonable for me to invest more and then I will level up. Like that seems to be the track record. That's what you should do. When you reach that point, the only reason you don't is usually because of your own fear, your own lack of self-belief. And so when I had a conversation with Janelle and we laid out my business, she's like, yeah, this makes sense. It's like the only reason I wouldn't is fear, lack of self-belief. And, we're rock stars, dude. We're wolves. I don't want lack of self-belief. I believe in myself. I want the next level. So for me, I wish I could be like more exciting. It's just reasonable to progress in the CLA to
Dude,
the
I
10K.
think that's the lawyer in you. That's the
Yeah.
back. That makes sense though. That makes sense. And I like it is fucking reasonable. And I also think that like when for me, it's like if I go to Dan Martell's half day and I get a fuckload of value and he's like, you should come on my VIP coaching offer. I'm like, well, I literally went to your half day and it was super valuable. So obviously I want to progress to the next level. I also want to touch that self-belief thing because that's the only reason people don't invest in a mentor, periods. It's because they don't believe that they're going to get the money back. Whereas like,
Yeah.
I actually believe this. I believe two things about mentorship. One, if you're a personal trainer that's asking people to pay you money for mentorship, you better be investing in a mentor. Otherwise, it's going to be impossible for you to authentically and in integrity ask people for money and then overcome their objections. Because when somebody's like, I want to do it on my own, you can't overcome that objection with integrity because that's what you're doing, right?
100%.
You're doing it on your own. And so it's
Yeah.
like my responsibility as a business mentor for my clients to always have a mentor. Because when my clients have objections about finances, I'm like, I completely understand because I also have that. And this is why I invest. So that's the first thing about mentorship. But the second thing is the self-belief. Like, and I do want to ask you about your self-belief because I think it's going to help some people. But you need to actually believe that it's possible for you to succeed. So, Joe, for you, like, where did that self-belief come from? Like, where is that? Like, did you feel the fear and you did it anyways, or was there like, was there a conversation that you had with yourself? Like,
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing I think I've done in life is drop out of law school. I mean, let's just take a step back and like look at our culture for a second and see how obsessive we are about college, like how much we think like the safe, secure route is the right path. But in any case, so much apprehension. But then I feel like I just had to. Like I was in an emotional state where I had to. Back then, I don't know. I thought there was a chance. But I'll tell you something, Brian. Once I got my first organic sale, like lead gen from a content piece, like came in, followed, I lead gen, booked a call, sold them. The first one, I was like, oh, I can do this. Like, this can work. Because as soon as you do one, there's a million. And you know that. And if you don't believe that, you're lying to yourself because you just grow. And so after I got the one, I was like, I'm in. I'll be rich. So,
dude, I'm excited for you because I'm excited for your progression because that, bro, what you just said is exactly what the fuck happened to me. And if you guys listen to the podcast, you might have heard this episode. I was in Bali. I was fucking by myself. I had 3 weeks in Bali and I literally had no fucking cash. And I was like, I either make money in Bali or I'm going to fucking die in a third world country. And when I made $5,000 in that 3 week time span, I literally was like, dude, if I can make $5,000 in 3 weeks, I'm never, ever, ever going to work for somebody else again. This like one fucking, like all it takes is one. But I think it is that moment in time where you realize that like, if I can do this once, I can do it again.
Yes, 100%. And yeah, because what are you going to do? Are you lying to yourself? If you got one, there's 8 billion people in the world?
8 billion people on the fucking planet.
You need 30 at $333 a month to hit 10,000 revenue. You can't find 30? No, it's unreasonable.
Dude,
you will.
And you had fucking 600 Instagram followers. You started from fucking zero.
Yes.
And with 600 Instagram followers, you were able to generate 8 clients. We have so many clients that are like, oh, my following is not growing. And it's like, bro, you have 600 fucking followers.
Yeah.
Like, there's 600 humans on there. How many followers do you have now, out of curiosity, by the way?
1,300, 1,350.
1,350, and homie's making $11,000 a month. What the fuck, you guys?
Yeah.
Right? For all the people that are listening, they're like, I can't make money from my social media. Like, it's so hard for me to gain followers. Joe has 1,300 fucking followers. I didn't even know that, by the way. I thought you had like 10,000.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I started 5 months ago. I've never had a viral reel kickoff, but engagement's great because I network well. I do all the things in the account. I watch the videos. I write things down. I implement. If you guys do what Brian says, it works.
Let's fucking go, bro.
Yeah.
Joe's going to be the new poster child. It's funny because I actually you remind me a lot of Clayton Snyder. I don't know if you've heard of the Clayton Snyder story in the podcast.
I've heard his name. I don't know him, though.
Clayton Snyder has a very similar story as you, bro. When Clayton started the program, it was like 2.5, 3 years ago. Clayton literally started a new Instagram account when he started the academy, had no followers. He had a personal account. He's like, I don't want to use my personal account for my business. I'm starting a brand new Instagram account. So he started from scratch. Now Clayton's got about 10,000 followers. He's been with me for 3 years. On TikTok, he has 150 to 200,000 followers. But now he's making consistently $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And he literally started from scratch. But he had the same work ethic and the same mentality. Just kept showing up every single day, putting in the work and not looking for shortcuts. And so one of the things you say is you do the fucking work, you sit down, you actually execute on the tasks. And I think a lot of people in the academy struggle to actually do the non-negotiables. What are some little, insights that you can give around how do you operate as a business owner on a day-to-day basis? What does your workflow look like?
Yeah, like first I'll start with like guys, I totally get it. It's really easy to like show up to the training classes and then spend all day watching the videos on the website and just writing and all of that's super good. Then go to the classes, but then you're not like doing the work. It's almost like theory and then you're not practicing. So we got to avoid that. I would almost say videos are back burner stuff. Just get in and start doing the work. So I'm really rigid about my non-negotiables. I write them on a piece of paper and I don't get to go to bed until everything is checked off. So every day, it's gym, it's post story in the morning, post content, and then well now 10K we're doing 2 a days, so I post content, but like here's the thing: we are coaches and we hold others accountable. But if you really want to level up, you have to be able to like hold yourself accountable to like that to do list. It's just me. I don't have to tell anyone about my to do list. I don't, but it's me. So if I don't cross something off, I'm kind of lying to myself. I'm not integrous, as Brian would say. So it's really, really important that you hold yourself accountable to the little things because those lack of 50 DMs, they'll add up.
You know, it's fucking funny. I fucking love this shit so much. It makes me want to punch myself in the head. You notice how he didn't say, it's like, he didn't mention anything about the coaches in the mastermind holding him accountable. Not a single fucking thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I think that a lot of coaches really struggle, Joe, because they lack self-responsibility. It's like, we say, go do these things. And they're like, I didn't do the things, but then you didn't check in on me to do the things. It's not my fucking job to babysit you.
No.
It's my job to give you the blueprint. It's your job to execute. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously we're going to check in on you and we're going to like make sure the Facebook group's good. And we're going to like, if you're falling off track, we're going to message you and be like, where the fuck are you? But also like, if you're not holding yourself to the line and like Joe's a perfect example, 1,300 followers making $11,000 a month. If you're not holding yourself to the standard, how can you be upset about the work or the results that you didn't get from the work you didn't do?
Right. 100%. And I would never discount what I get in the 10K. But when I reach out to like Janelle or Alex, it's not like, hey, like help. It's more like I have less calls in the last 2 weeks. This is what I think it is. What do you think? It's like a problem solving thing. It's not like, hey, you haven't like checked in on me. Totally agree.
I love that.
No.
So, bro, so like you've been in the academy and you've been in the 10K Mastermind. What are your thoughts on the 10K Mastermind program, like as a whole?
I think it's great. I think the two things that really stand out for the 10K Mastermind are more one-on-one. So you spend a lot more time with the coaches, and then your relationship with other trainers grows. So I know there's a lot of people in the CLA. That's good though. It's a lot of people in the CLA, and you don't get that super personal connection, but there's less people. It's a level up, so there's less people, but that means stronger connections. So like I really vibe. I Facebook message the other people in the 10K on my level. But then, so that's great. We hold each other accountable. We ask questions. But on top of that, there's a lot more one-on-one with the coaches. And that's obviously huge. Just being around higher level people more often.
Like who really stands out to you as a, I'm just curious, by the way, there's no favorites, but obviously who really stands out to you as a coach and why in the 10K Mastermind?
On my level or one of the head coaches?
One of the head coaches.
Yeah, obviously Janelle's great. Samantha has been super helpful in terms of DMs. Really reasonable, really like level-headed. Looked over a lot of my DMs. I guess I'll choose Samantha, but they're all great.
Yeah, Samantha's a rock star. So just so everybody's listening, the way that the 10K Mastermind works is every coach in the Change Lives Academy is making over $10,000 a month in their business. Otherwise, they're not a coach. That's a standard that we have in our head coaches. Like you don't learn from anybody that's not making 10K, period, end of story, no questions asked. In the 10K Mastermind, the standard now is every coach that's in the 10K Mastermind is making over $25,000 a month. Why? Because it's like you can't lead somebody somewhere where you're not able to go yourself. And so our head coaches in the 10K Mastermind, Janelle Wheel made $300,000 a month in her online coaching business. Samantha Mills is currently making $50,000 a month in a coaching business. Alex Suno is making $50,000 a month in his coaching business. And also you guys get direct access to their brain. And so they're inside of the $1 Million Mastermind learning from your fucking boy, B Mark. What's up? I'm downloading my fucking brains into them. And then they're giving all of that information to our students on a one-on-one level. So I'm really fucking happy that you said Samantha Mills. She's gonna be happy about that too.
Yeah. And just one final point on that, like guys, it's the best thing is like you don't realize that it's these people are like self-improve to the max. And not to the max. Like the more you self-improve, the more successful you're gonna be. I think success is like what you attract by the person you become. You get around these people, they're even keeled, they're emotionally stable, they're very level headed, they have insane work ethic, and it's just amazing to be around these types of people. It forces you to want to be like, I want that.
You're coming to the Mastermind, so you're gonna experience this on a new level, bro. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, like that reasonable thing. It's like here's another option, another opportunity. Gotten so much value already.
Dude, the Mastermind is gonna be full of gangsters that are like fucking, they're hungry. You're gonna experience a new level. I'm super excited for you.
I'm Brian. You're gonna see me again. We're only going up.
I love it, bro. I love it. Okay, so the last question that I've been asking all the 10K Mastermind students to come on the podcast is, so you're Joe right now. You're making $11,000 a month. You built your Instagram to 1,300 followers. You're doing amazing in your non-negotiables. I want you to go back to the Joe that first started his online coaching business. That was actually, you know what? Fuck that. I want you to go back even further to Joe that was in thinking about dropping out of law school as the successful version of you. What advice would you give to that version of Joe who hasn't pursued his dreams yet, who hasn't followed through on the thing he wants to do, who hasn't gotten his business started? What advice would you give to Joe as the version of you right now?
Yeah. I would say everyone knows really what direction they want to go. Maybe not the end goal specifically, but you know where the needle's pointing, and nobody's opinion matters at all except for that inside of you. And when you pursue that, you're going to be able to work at a level that's stronger than whatever you were going into because you don't have a passion for the other thing. So if you can work that much harder and not get burned out because you love it, you can beat so many people. And so you reach a point where you say, okay, I love this thing and I can work at it and I can probably beat most people. I should just do it. The only reason we don't is because all of our friends and family, pretty much the social pressure to conform, and you got to break that. But who cares about that? What is internal? Where's that needle pointing? If you chase that, you're going to be so much happier. Take it from someone who did everything I was supposed to: engineering school, fancy job, law school. Everyone told me how great my life was, but I hated myself. So I would tell, like Joe, I would say just look inside. All of life is internal, and orient yourself towards what you love and then pursue that fully. And dude, you will blow past people because you love it. You're not going to be burned out. It's not going to be like a 9 to 5 where you go, oh, I'm so tired. You love it. And so you can work past everyone. You blow past everyone.
Mm. Can I ask you a personal question? Two
Of
personal
course.
questions,
Yeah,
actually.
of course.
Personal question number one, would you say that you're proud of yourself?
I mean, yeah, I am. I feel like I could always work harder though. It's
That's
hard for me. Yeah.
that's the mentality of a fucking winner.
Yeah.
I'm serious. That's exactly how the fuck I feel. I'm proud of myself, but it's like Cole and I came up with a quote and he put it in his fucking bio. I'm like, we came up with that together, you bitch. But it's called grateful but hungry.
Yeah.
Like I'm so fucking grateful for the level of success that I've been able to achieve, but I'm fucking hungry for the next level. So that's a great answer. I love that. That's a mindset of a winner. Second question, personal question I have to ask you. You don't have to answer this, but I'm curious. Are your parents proud of you based on the move that you made? Because that was a big fucking move.
Yeah, I would just put them in the category of most of my friends who they just don't get that. That's not, they don't understand that. I'm sure they will when I'm rich, but there'll be a day they're proud. But I'm sure it's like so many other entrepreneurs where I think it's really easy to say like chase your dream and you do it as a side hustle. But when you're like, I'm jumping in, this is my purpose, everyone freaks out. The culture is not adept for that. So I would say they don't really get it yet. They will.
Can I give you some advice?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, my fucking family felt the same way.
Really.
Like legit, I remember when I quit my bartending job. So I was a restaurant manager when I quit. I called my grandma and I was like, I quit and I'm doing this online coaching thing. And she's like, what? She's like, you quit a $40,000 a year job? And I'm like, yeah, I fucking hate it. It's the worst. It's horrible. I hate it so much. And she didn't understand. She didn't understand why I would quit. My auntie didn't understand why I quit. And it was hard for them at first to really like get behind me. And dude, like now it's been 10 years. My auntie, who didn't understand, now works for me full time. I've been paying her salary now for 2 years.
Yeah.
Better believe she fucking gets it. And my auntie's like my mom. She pretty much raised me. And my grandma, I was able to buy her house because I pursued my dream. And now I send her thousands of dollars every single month because I pursued my dream.
Yep.
So like every second day, I'm getting messages that say that she's proud of me. And Cole De Silva was the same way, bro. Cole De Silva's family literally was like, didn't fucking get it. They didn't even believe that he was making, like when he started like sharing, he's like, yeah, I hit like $10,000 a month. And like his family's like, no, you didn't. Like they just didn't believe it. And then Cole walked him around, like when he bought the mansion next door, when Cole's family came and he walked them around the house, they were like, oh, this is real. So my advice to you, and thank you for sharing the vulnerable fucking answer, is like, bro, when you keep going and you just become undeniable and you just keep this work ethic, like my advice to current Joe right now is like, you've come so far. And I want you to know that if you keep this work ethic for the next 3 years, you'll be a fucking force, bro. Like I've worked with thousands of clients, Joe. And again, there's not a lot of clients that impress me. I'm like, you're fucking impressive. Like you are like, you're impressive. You came from listening to my fucking podcast, implementing, signing clients, and you start an Instagram account in May. And now you're making $10,000 to $11,000 a month just from doing the fucking non-negotiables, just from doing the fucking work. You have what it takes, bro. Just keep fucking doing the work. And I promise you, in like 3-5 years, you're going to be a fucking force, bro.
Thank you so much, Brian. That means so much. I appreciate it.
I'm proud of
you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Can I say something to the people listening that are maybe listening to the podcast but aren't in the CLA yet, kind of like where I was?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking what I was thinking, which was, this is great. There's some good value here. Maybe one day I'll like take the jump and be a trainer. All I ask is that you guys just keep binging the podcast, because you're going to reach a point what I reached, which was, man, I've been implementing what this podcast says, and I'm making it. If I implement it, I can monetize. I get so much value. I'm making money. And you're going to reach a point where you're like, the only next logical step is to invest more time, more other investments, and I'll get more value. You're going to reach that point. And then the next thing is you got to look in the mirror and figure out what type of man you are. Are you going to chase your dream? Are you going to take the risk? Because it's not really a risk, because if you do the work, we know it works. So that's what I would say to you. Just keep listening to the podcast and you'll reach that point. And then it's an internal decision.
I love that.
Yeah.
Joe, where do they find you? What's your Instagram handle? Because I'm sure a lot of people are, number one, want to verify that you're a real human. And number two, if you got any sort of value from Joe, I actually want you to shoot him a message and be like, yo, I listened to the podcast. Thank you for that.
Really appreciate that. Yeah. So it's Joe Jarrell, Jarrell with an underscore at the end.
Joe Jarrell with an underscore. So go give Joe some love on Instagram. If you got any sort of value from this podcast, make sure you shoot him a message and let him know that you listen to the podcast. And Joe, bro, thank you so much for coming on. This was fire.
Thank you very much. I will see you in December, man. Looking forward to it.
Let's fucking go. Last thing I just want to say, you guys, is a reminder. It is 10K Mastermind launch week. And so you've gotten any sort of value from the podcast. You're making $5,000 plus per month, and you're interested in scaling to Joe's level where he's at $11,000 and he's growing. If you want to learn how to do that, go fill out the application in my bio. We're currently accepting students for the next week and a half, and then we're closing enrollment. We also have opened up our Black Friday sale. So if you guys want to get in on the Black Friday deal, go hit the link in my bio. Peace, love, and protein. Have the best day of your motherfucking life. We'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Let's go. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Hopefully you got some value. If you did, and you want to learn more about how me and my team can help you scale your online fitness business to $10,000 a month, DM me 10K on Instagram at TheRealBrianMark for more information, and I'll reach out to you to see if I can help you grow an online coaching business.